Good evening. Thank you for coming. I'm Amy LeBlanc, Director of Student Services. This is Maggie Wade, Student Services Coordinator, and we're here to talk about Erin's Law and what that means for District 25. So what is Erin's Law? Erin's Law is a state law in Illinois that Governor Quinn adopted in January 2013, and it became law for the 14-15 school year. And basically, Erin's Law tells us that we need to educate students in early childhood, so from the age of 3 through high school, on sexual abuse and prevention. And so the main goals are to teach awareness, self-advocacy, and that prevention component to all children at least once throughout the school year, every year moving forward. So we'll do it this year and then every year as long as the law remains in effect. And it's actually the law in 21 states. It started in Illinois, and the 21st state ratified, I believe, in March of 2015. So who is Erin? Erin is a young lady who grew up in Illinois. She was the victim of abuse as a young child. She was abused by a family member and then was abused again by a close family friend. So from the age of 6 until 13, she was the victim of abuse pretty repeatedly. And it wasn't until she was a senior in high school that she broke her silence and decided to come forward and to speak to her family about what had happened to her. And in doing so, she really found some empowerment, and she found that it was healing for her to tell the world what had happened. And so she's written 3 books, I believe. She's campaigned nationally to raise awareness on child sexual abuse. She's been on Oprah. She's spoken to state legislatures across the country. So in terms of implementation, as I said, this is a law. We need to implement education for this school year. We've partnered with the Northwest Center Against Sexual Assault, which we call the Northwest CASA. They're within our region, and they provided us with access to an educator, a social worker, who specializes in sexual abuse awareness and prevention. She came in and presented a curriculum that she had developed to address sexual abuse prevention at an age-appropriate level. So from age 3 through high school, she had different curricula that she had created. And she presented that to our social workers, and then a small group of our social workers got together and just worked through it and made it tailored to meet our needs even more so. And so that's what we will be presenting to our students this year and next year moving forward. This begins April 27th, so about 2 weeks from now. And the reason that there's that time between our presentation and the actual implementation is that the law allows parents to opt out. So if you feel that this is something that is not something you want your child to be exposed to at school, you have the option to say no and not have them participate. There's a form that we have a link for that you can send in. So there's about 2 weeks where you can do that, and then we'll be presenting from April 27th through the end of this school year. We will be implementing by grade level groups for the most part. So rather than have a social worker go class by class by class, a social worker will work with a group of kindergartners. So all the kindergartens in the AM will come together and have their lesson. We're doing 1 lesson this year. As we move into next year, we'll see how we'll modify that if we want to stay with 1 lesson for the year, if we want to do 1 at the beginning, possibly do 1 at the end as a follow-up. We're still kind of in the exploratory phases of what that will look like. But grade levels, at least early childhood through 5th, will be the approach. For middle school, it'll be a little different, probably through their health classes or through their advisory periods when they're together class by class. So let's talk about what it is. Starting with early childhood, our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds will watch a really short video, which we can watch tonight. It's about 6 minutes long, and it's called Joey Learns the Touching Rule. And basically, the touching rule is that adults can touch you to keep you healthy and to keep you clean, but that adults shouldn't touch you on your parts of your body that are covered by your bathing suit, basically, is the language that we would use if it's not for one of those 2 purposes. And in this video, they go through why it's okay for a mom to change a baby's diaper, why it's okay for grandma to give you a bath, that those are okay touching, why it's okay for your doctor to see you undressed and to possibly touch you as an examination. So that's the touching rule. Did I leave any part of it out? They'll have a short discussion in early childhood about what the touching rule is, asking the kids to give it back to them. Can they remember it? Can they explain it? They'll talk about nobody touching you except to keep you clean and healthy. And then a 3-step safety rule, which is basically, let's see if I can do it. It's to say no, to get away, to tell an adult if ever you feel uncomfortable. That's it for early childhood. So we're talking 15, 20 minutes at the most, and they're done. Very short because they're very young. And we'll watch that video when we're done. Questions about early childhood? Kindergarten through 2nd grade will also watch that video, again, 6-minute video. They will learn the touching rule. They will see pictures about safe versus unsafe touch. So what is safe touch? What is unsafe touch? A picture of a dad hugging a child, holding him up while he laughs. That's safe touch. A picture of two boys pushing each other and shoving. That's not safe touch. So just trying to differentiate between what's what. Again, reviewing that 3-step safety plan of saying no, getting away, and telling an adult. And then we have a book that they will read, which I can pass around, which is called Your Body Belongs to You. And again, it's just that awareness of it's okay to tell an adult no. We teach our children to be polite and to be mindful, but it's okay to say no to an adult if you feel uncomfortable, and that's the essential essence coming in. So I'll pass that around if you'd like to take a look at it. And then again, the kids will have an age-appropriate discussion from the video and the book. So if something doesn't feel right to you, it's okay to say no. What is that 3-step rule? And again, probably a 20 to 30-minute discussion depending on the age range and what the children are able to handle. So questions about K2? Our 3rd and 4th graders, again, they're learning the touching rule. So you'll see that as the thread throughout. They will talk about good touch and bad touch scenarios, and they will learn the 4 rules of personal body safety, which is basically saying if you're going to go somewhere, you need to tell an adult or ask permission. You need to go with a friend. You need to be where you say you're going to be, and if something happens, you need to tell an adult. So it's teaching kids to buddy up. So if you're walking to the park to go with a friend, if you're in a strange place like a movie theater and you're going to go to the bathroom, you take a buddy with you so that children aren't placed in situations that might be compromising to them. And they'll do a short worksheet activity on identifying a trusted adult. We want to make sure that they know that they can go to a teacher, they can go to a counselor, they can go to a parent in the event that something happens or they're unsure. And that it's okay. It's not breaking somebody's trust if someone tells you this is a secret and you can't tell, that it's okay to tell those types of secrets and really instilling that in them. Questions about 3rd and 4th grade? Again, pretty short. And last is 5th grade. Same thing, the touching rule, the 4 rules. They'll watch some different, they'll run through some scenarios about good touch, bad touch, and then they'll watch a video, It Happened to Me. For the older students, so grades, I think 1st through 5th, students will do an exit slip. So if they have questions or if they want to talk to a social worker, if there's something that's on their mind following the presentation, they'll have the opportunity to turn that in to the social worker at the end with their name on it. And that's something that we can then address with them outside of the large group. We want children to feel safe and to know that there are trusted adults within the school that they can go to if they need to. So that's how we'll culminate the activities for this year. So let's talk a little bit about what will be happening in 6th grade this year. Our focus is really going to be on the touching rule, which is teaching our children that nobody can touch them in anywhere that is protected, that is covered by their bathing suit, so for girls and for boys, except to keep them safe, clean, and healthy. So a doctor may touch you if they're examining you with mom and dad in the room. When you were younger, mom and dad may have given you a bath. You may change a baby's diaper. The purpose of those activities is to keep you clean and healthy, and that's really the only time anyone should be touching you in those areas. We'll also be teaching the 4 rules of personal body safety, and we're going to watch a video, It Happened to Me. The students will also watch this video, and it'll go through that, through those 4 rules, but basically saying that when you are out somewhere, like if you're at a movie theater, that you need to tell an adult where you're going. You need to make sure you have permission to go where you want to go. You need to go with a buddy, and if something happens, you need to report it. So it's teaching kids 4 steps to maintain safety as they become more independent and they're out in the world by themselves. And we'll watch that video in a little bit. So that will happen for 6th grade this year. Next year, our 6th graders will focus more on empowerment, owning their bodies, knowing that their bodies are their own and that they are in control of what happens to their bodies. In 7th grade, our focus will be more on sexual harassment and talking about what is sexual harassment and the different types of sexual harassment that can occur, everything from visual to physical, cyber harassment and written harassment, and really looking at the line between what's flirting and what's somebody doing something to you that's abusive in terms of sexual harassment. Students will have the opportunity to role play and to problem solve. So they'll be given scenarios and asked, what would you do in this scenario? Would you continue to be friends with this person? Would you tell an adult? Is this something that would make you feel uncomfortable, or is this okay? And what to do in the event that they feel that they're being harassed. And then in 8th grade, our focus shifts to teen dating violence. Also this year, there is state legislature that requires that we educate our 8th graders on teen dating violence. And if staff feel that they have a student in their class who is at risk for violence as part of dating, even if it happens outside of school, they need to report that. And so we're training our staff on how to recognize those signs, and we'll have a reporting mechanism. So we also want to teach our students what is dating violence, what are power and control techniques that someone might use to keep you in a relationship that isn't healthy. We're going to talk about your personal rights in dating, and then a stay and go activity where they'll talk through different scenarios. It starts with a young girl who meets a young man and they become friends, they go to the movies, and as their relationship progresses, things start to get a little uncomfortable where he's exerting more control over her. And so learning when do I stay, when do I go, when should I walk away, what are things I can do to get out of a relationship when it's feeling uncomfortable. So that's what we will focus on for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Our social workers will be working with the health classes as well as through the advisory periods to present these lessons now through the end of the year. So those will happen. Some additional resources you can look at. The Northwest CASA maintains a blog. It has information for parents on how to talk to your children about sexual abuse. Erin's Law has its own website. There's an Erin's Law Illinois site as well. She has a lot of information, a blog, some books you can read, and then the opt-out form is here at the bottom. So let's watch the video. It happened to me, so you can get a sense of the type of language that we're using with students and what the rules are that we're teaching them. And like I said, with the exception of Joey Learns the Touching Rule, you can Google or look on YouTube for some of the other videos that are in there. So that's what we had to present for you tonight. I hope that it gives you a better understanding of the law and how we plan to implement it for this year. There will also be a teacher and adult component, so our teachers are trained on mandated reporting, how to recognize signs of abuse, what to do in the event that they suspect that there's something happening with a child in their classroom. So there's a training component for the adults as well as for the children. Right. If you have more questions, you can let me know. You can give me a call or an email, and I'm happy to walk through some of the elements of our curriculum with you. Thank you.